Welcome to the Base Path Podcast, brought to you by New England Baseball Journal. I'm your host, Dan Guttenplan. Today's guest is the founder of Northeast Baseball, one of the prominent travel ball programs in New England. Scott Patterson, thanks so much for joining us.
I appreciate having me, Dan.
Yeah, so I know you're coming off a really busy summer and fall season that kind of wraps up with the WWBA events down in Florida. The 18U event was in Jupiter. I think 17U was in Fort Myers. For our audience who may not be as familiar with that, you know, sometimes we have younger players or parents of younger players. What is that tournament like? I know it's a huge kind of recruiting showcase event. What are those? What's that weekend like to go down there for those tournaments?
Yeah, two different events. Obviously, two different objectives for each one.
Yeah.
Fort Myers, which is the WWBA that happens before Jupiter, so that's usually for 2027s and under, and that's a pretty heavy event for recruiting. So we've been going to that for 18 years. So it's something that it's not new for us, but it's definitely changed over time. So it has become a bigger event than it maybe had been in the past with the new recruiting rules over the last 5 years. So Fort Myers first, it's a great event for us. I think we made the playoffs. We played well. We don't go there to play in the playoffs, but you go there to compete. So and we run our teams differently. You know, when we go down there, we're not running pitchers out and throwing 7 innings. They throw their 2 innings and they come out. So it's just a different type of event. But it's great for recruiting. It's definitely the first, the first recruiting event after September, after August 1, the big recruiting event. So, and then Jupiter's just has changed over time. I have my opinions on it's just different, right? Like it's different now than it was 6-7 years ago. So that's usually for committed players. This year had a lot more teams than it typically had, and a lot more uncommitted players with the current environment with recruiting. I mean, I've saw more like good players in the 26 class that are just, we had a kid from Pennsylvania, 6'7" righty Elijah Barr, and he was 89, 92, touching 93, 6'7". Uncommitted player with good grades. So those types of things typically hadn't happened in the past, but it's Jupiter's turned into that event where guys maybe got decommitted or decommitted from a school, and then obviously the pro side of it as well.
Yeah, you mentioned the goal, at least for the Fort Myers event, isn't to make not necessarily to make the playoffs. Obviously, it's good if you do when you're piecing it together with 2 inning stints and things like that. What would you say is the primary goal when you go down there? It's to get guys, looks, get them recruiting interest. What is the goal?
Yeah, it's 100% about recruiting. It's not. Oh, sorry, I got a little dog here.
No worries.
My daughter's dog. So it's not about recruiting at all. For us, it's all about. I'm sorry. I'm dealing with my dog here.
No, I get it. Yeah, it's all about recruiting.
100% about recruiting, and so we take when you go to these events. Some guys will go down in October and be throwing 7 innings. It doesn't make any sense. So we're trying to put our guys in the best situation possible to succeed in that time of year. So some guys aren't even throwing it in October, and maybe they had a bigger workload in the spring or whatever. But it's become an event where you can make or break. You can get a scholarship out of throwing 2 innings down there. So it's been great for us. It's been great over again almost 2 decades of going there. But it's also become more prevalent, or it's that you need to have recruiting is all about relationships now. Like it is all about relationships, and so you could go to Fort Myers and play an hour away from Fort Myers, and if you don't have the relationships to have college coaches know who your players are, then the event becomes pointless. So it's I've seen that as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what beyond just putting a guy on a mound for 2 innings and hoping the right people are there. Like what do you have to do down there to really drum up that? It sounds like a lot of communication, like, hey, we're going to be on this field. Here's a kid that could fit well with your program.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going down there rolling the dice and just hoping that somebody's going to show up to the field to see you pitch, you save the money and don't go. Like it's pointless for you to go. It's all about having somebody in your corner advocating for you and making sure that people know when you're going to pitch. For instance, we had an 8 a.m. game way off site down there, and we still had 15 schools in our first game, which typically, probably wouldn't happen if we weren't communicating to schools, letting them know that, hey, we have recruitable players pitching at this time. This is who they are. This is where we think they can pitch. This is where we think they can play. And it takes a lot of, look, I've spent, again, almost 2 decades doing this. So it's all we have in this is our reputation, and to make sure that the coaches know if I call them that I think they can play, and hopefully they value our opinion enough to come out and check our guys out. And it, we had 2 guys get offers from that, which is, from that, if you're playing a percentage game, I'll take those percentages any day of the week. So we had, in our 26 class, we had 21 Division I commits this year. So we're doing something right in regards to referencing our players, with 36 total college commitments in the 2026 class.
Yeah. It's where you get this slogan, the best play here, right? It's a lot of D1 prospects.
Yeah. Well, and it's honestly, it's about finding the right fit, both academically and athletically, for each player. And that I think is like, it's 90% of it for us is being able to buy in and trust what we're telling you. When sometimes there's outside sources, and they're not negative sources, but maybe they just don't have the experience of, the college process, where, maybe they have somebody in their ear saying, hey, I think you can play here. I think you should go do this. Well, look, you don't come play for us because we're super nice guys. You come here because this is what we do for a living. We help kids move on and play college baseball. We've done it at a higher rate than anybody, over the last 18 years. It's not like we just rolled out of bed and started doing this. There's relationships that are built. There are processes that we have within our organization to help kids move on and play. And it comes down to, man, there is no magic pill, and you got to buy into what we're saying. And some people do, some people don't. And that's okay.
Well, that evaluation piece, that metric has probably changed a little bit too, with the transfer portal and guys, a lot of college coaches recruiting other college players, whether it be other D1, mid-majors, D1 program, power forward that want to slide down a little bit and be more competitive in the mid-majors, or even D2, D3 guys bumping up. Have you found that you're giving, different advice on the same quality of player over the last 5-10 years, where you're saying, hey, maybe you were D1, in 2016, but probably not today?
Yeah, it's definitely changed for sure. I'm not sure I'm giving different advice. I think the advice has stayed the same, and do your due diligence in where you want to go to school. Do your due diligence on on the schools that you like, in the areas that you like, and be ready to make a decision if that time comes. I think the biggest difference right now is that, kids would get offers and maybe they would sit on them and see what else would come about. That is no longer an option. So if you get an offer as a 27 grad, you got to be ready to make a decision, or they're going to fill it in, because then they're going to offer their first tier, and then they're going to, probably wait to see what they get in the portal or see what else becomes available. It's just hard. It's a hard time to be a high school athlete right now. Probably the hardest time in the history of recruiting in my history, in my 18 years of doing this. So yeah, would I be giving different advice? Yeah, I think guys are. I mean, it's just, man, like we had a kid that was committed to a Division III school, kind of pre-read, thought he was in, didn't get in, and then ended up committing to a Division I school after he got, decommitted from that institution. So it's like, man, there's just good players, playing at all levels at a crazy rate. If you take the Wirtz kid, who went from Stonehill to Salve and was throwing 97 miles an hour, and now he's at Northeastern.
Right.
So I mean, that's a pretty wild career. If you played for us in high school, and it's just that didn't happen. That wasn't even a thing, a couple of years ago. So you're competing with these high school kids are competing with, at sometimes grown men.
It seems like a lot to ask for a college coach right now, looking at the 2027 and say, hey, here's your offer. We need a decision in the next 24 hours. Otherwise, we're going to move on. When you see all the time, it's not binding for college coaches either. Like a guy needs Tommy John surgery 6 months from now, he's going to say, hey, you want to slide back in the class of 2028, we'll give you another look, but we're going to go somewhere else. Like, how could you say we need a firm commitment tomorrow, or, whatever that is?
I mean, you can't. And look, again, that's where the relationship piece comes into it. Like there's some schools, I mean, we've had 2 players this year that were committed, and then one that got, 3, one got decommitted in October, of this past October. And it's like, what do we do? What's that kid supposed to do? And that's where the relationship piece comes into where, hey, all right, well, this is a situation. He was committed to another school within 24 hours. So that's where the relationship piece, or you get some, we had a big lefty that was committed to a pretty high, baseball, pretty big baseball school, power 4, got decommitted 2 weeks before he's supposed to be on campus, then ends up committing to another power 4 school, as after he reclasses. So it's just these schools, it's hard because on our end, we're trying to protect our student athletes, right? Like that is my job, is to protect our student athletes. So, and the school is also trying to protect them. So I get it on their side as well. So like those guys, and I'll use Northeastern, right? Like those guys know what they're recruiting. Like they have, or they know their mold. They know who they're going after, and they're going to create relationships with those people that they commit. And those guys aren't going to go out and decommit high school kids. I would say that mostly for most New England schools in general. I haven't seen many New England schools in general commit a kid and then decommit them before they come. I mean, maybe when there was a coaching change or something like that. So for kids that are looking at that, I mean, that's something to have in the back of your head. Like there's a commitment from these schools up here they've committed to not only me as a baseball player, but me as a young man.
That's a good point. No, I hadn't thought of like you don't see it a lot from New England schools now that I'm thinking about it. Like I've seen it from, the Vanderbilts and schools like that. But no, that's a good point. That
you can't blame it on like it's so hard because you see both sides of it. All those schools are coaching for they have families, this is their career. Like if they don't win, they don't have a job.
Right.
And you see in college football. I mean, it's not that we're going to compare those are 2 different things. But if a kid's not progressing and he doesn't get any better, I get it how they, a bigger school will, I'm not saying I agree with it, but I can understand how it happens. But it can't be a one-sided street here. Like, oh, the school can do it, but the kid can't do it. Now that the kid does it, he's a bad kid, or he must be something going on with him that he's going to decommit from a school, which is not true. Maybe sometimes it is, but most of the time it is not. So it can't be a one-sided street. I would say, again, out of our, we've got, like I said, 21 kids this year committed to play Division I baseball. Like I feel confident in the institutions and the coaches that they're going to play for. It's not like we're sending them to people that we've never sent players to. We're sending them to people that we have relationships with. And I just, if we're sending a kid to, and I just use Northeastern, like we're sending a kid to Northeastern, I know what they're getting out of their experience. If I send a kid to go play for Coach Decker at Harvard, we know what they're getting out of their experience with Coach Cole's an outstanding pitching coach. So these are the pieces that you need when you're going through the recruiting processes. For me, when I started, I was 24 years old, and a lot of these coaches that are now head coaches were assistant coaches when I was coming up through this. So now I've been able to develop a lot of these relationships that are no longer just, for recruiting, they're friends. Like I have relationships with these guys and we can be honest with each other. And it's just like any relationship that you have in life, whether it's your marriage or your best friend or whatever, you got to be able to have open communication, open lines of communication with these guys. And I think that's, been a big piece of our success.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd like to see the NCAA put in a couple more they obviously did, trying to move it back to August 1st. Like, hey, we're not going to get 8th graders committing anymore because those don't really ever end up being binding. But like bailing on a kid 2 weeks before he's on campus, that shouldn't happen. But
Well, it shouldn't happen. And it ends up working out. It ended up working out for that kid. He's going to end up in a great place. But yeah, it's just like all the rules are in like, you'll talk to some coaches and they don't even understand the new DSA or, all this other stuff that's come about. And they're like, it's all convoluted. Like nobody really has a detailed answer on what all this means, with the rosters and everything else. So again, another big piece of why those relationships are important.
yeah, I think you mentioned his Elijah Barr. Was that the player that you had from Pennsylvania? So that made me, I want to go back to that, because how do you assemble, I know you have a lot of kids in your program that are, with you throughout the summer, and even, and like you said, the fall isn't always, you don't always have 100% participation. Kids are playing football, they're playing other stuff in the fall, or maybe even just, like you said, they hit their pitch counts and they're done for the year, shut it down. How do you assemble these rosters that you're taking down to Florida for these October events?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, right? Like for the exact reason that you said, New England, not a huge fall ball area. It's just not a thing for us typically up here. And I get it. And I know for all the right reasons. And so we take a core group of our kids that we have for the summer that want to go and extend those opportunities to our players. And then again, it just comes down to relationships with college coaches that hey, do you have a committed player that wants to come play with us? Do you know of anybody who's looking for a team? And then, just former teammates of mine, or we had 3 kids from Puerto Rico. So I played with, a buddy from Puerto Rico, and he sent us some guys. And it's just, just assembling through relationships that you have, or scouts or whatever it may be. So it becomes more and more difficult every year because of, if you take New England position players, all right, one of our best and most high profile players this year is Rock Arnold, who committed to Oklahoma State, area code guy. I'm sorry, wasn't an area code guy, but left-handed hitter, signed with the Boris Group. Like, you take that kid and you go down and you haven't played this kind of baseball for over a month and a half. And then you're trying to go and compete against, high level. I mean, our first game we're facing on going to Texas A&M. And so, you're going from doing some couple live at bats to trying to compete. It becomes very difficult to go down there and showcase your abilities when, we just don't do a lot up here. So, but those guys do great, and they're there and they're getting filmed. And, I think Brian Sayah was an all tournament guy. He's going to college Charleston, Belmont Hill. Chase Edgar was great. Brett Gallo, we've got a good group of our core guys that we take down and we just fill it in. It's a very difficult tournament to go down and just, especially for Northeast guys, to go down there and compete. No matter how good, I think our roster had 20 plus, kids committed to play Division I baseball. I mean, we went we did do well, from a winning standpoint, but we went down there and competed. And those guys got the opportunity to play. And I don't know if you've ever been, but it is quite the spectacle of, scouts and, you can be walking down, Fred McGriff be walking down. Some people don't even know who that is, but the Crime Dog, what a legend.
Dog, yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can turn up that pitching machine in the batting cage to 90, but it's not going to look like that Texas A&M kid that you're seeing on day one. You got to be, you can't be out of it for 2 months.
It's difficult. And I commend our players for going down there. It's not like they go down there and they stunk. They go down there and they're competing and they're putting themselves out there. And I mean, man, it takes some confidence to be able to do that. And our guys played well. So I'm happy for that.
That's great.
Yeah.
So now I want to kind of look ahead now to the winter. Like, everybody wants to kind of get ready for now, there's not a ton going on in the winter. You want to kind of get ready for that late March start to the high school prep season. You probably need to replenish your numbers because you're going to lose those 18U guys. They typically get on their college programs after their high school or prep season. Yeah. What's the winter look like at NEB?
Yeah, I mean, it's different for everyone. So our NEB's winter is probably a little bit different than most. I think we have eight different states represented on our rosters this summer for our older guys. So our shortstop was from one of our shortstops was from Cleveland, Ohio. We got players from all over that come and play with us. So our winter is different. It's all individual development. I mean, that's our ultimate goal. Yes, are we going to have some team practices? Absolutely. But they're also not mandatory because I do believe that if you are playing on the basketball team, man, go for it. Like, let's do that. If you're the 12th man on the basketball team, we should probably focus on, being a better baseball player. But, those guys will, play hockey, basketball, whatever they may do. And then it's all the individual development. We're getting weight room. We're doing our recruiting seminars. We're trying to educate our kids on what camps to go to that are beneficial for them. Because nowadays you can get, there are a gazillion different showcases and camps and things that you can go to. So just trying to, use the old Fidelity green line and guide our players. And hey, look, this is a path. This is good to go to. This is probably not as beneficial. This is what we need. This is what we need to do academically. Trying to just prepare them for, what is to come. It's just because you play in our program, it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to play college baseball. Like, that's just not a thing. It has become more and more competitive. So what are you doing to separate yourselves in a positive light? What are our academics like? Excuse me. And, physically, what do we look like? Then are we being realistic in our search? Are we being realistic of where you can play? So, I got Cam Devaney calling me, right? Cam Devaney, major league debut this year from Amherst, New Hampshire. Cam Devaney's went to Elon, wasn't a high recruit, but he went to a place where he could play and he could develop, and that's what he did. Same thing with Cam
Schlittler,
yeah. Went to Northeastern, developed, and major league player. Look, those stories are few and far between, but finding the opportunity, understanding the opportunity of, hey, this is where I fit. Both academically and athletically is the number one step in this entire process.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, I came to the NEB facility in it's Groton, right? Is that where it is? Harvard, Massachusetts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
we got just cornfields and highways.
Yes, yeah, I was checking out the barn, but I was surprised by how many offerings that you have in. You have a big strength and conditioning room that guys are training in. When you envision, what you want the atmosphere, because there was a very palpable energy too of guys coming in. They were ready to work, but they were enthusiastic about it. What do you want it to look like in your facility?
That's culture, right? That's our culture. You can't. If we could bottle it up and sell it, I'd probably, I'd be much better off. But our culture is unique at our facility, and it's something we take pride in. Man, we want this place to be a facility where guys want to come to, and it's a pretty unique space where you could have Sean Burke, who just spent the entire year with the White Sox training, next to a 12-year-old who's just trying to, just become a better baseball player. So you create this environment where guys want to be there. You can get, if you want to throw, we got pitching guys. We have I'll put our two catching guys, Matt Kruger and Mike Abraham. Mike Abraham's brother works for the Red Sox as well. And you take those two guys and I'll put them against anybody, man. They just they have passion for catching. Jake Wilsey's an outstanding strength and hitting guy. I just think we're not a volume facility, right? We're not renting to little Johnny off the street to come rent a batting cage. That's just not there's plenty of room for that kind of stuff. It's just not who we are as a facility, as an organization. We want kids that we're all pulling on the same rope. We all have one common goal of just becoming better baseball players, better human beings. And it's a big piece, man. It's not just about becoming better baseball players. We're trying to develop young men. And it's a pretty unique space. And obviously I'm biased. And it is a hike for some to come to Harvard, but we're 45 minutes from Boston, Logan International Airport. We're 45 minutes from Worcester, and we're 45 minutes from Manchester, New Hampshire. So we are, and we're 45 minutes from pieces of Rhode Island. So it's like we're in a prime spot if people want to get better. Like it's not just, you don't have to be in our program. We had the number one lacrosse player in the country, training at our facility. She made Team USA. She plays at BC now. We have soccer players. We just want people to have that passion and that love for a sport and that commitment to get better. Like I said, Cam Devaney was doing fielding clinics. Where else do you get major league players giving you, those type in their unique experiences, because Cam played with us, so he understands their role. It's a pretty, obviously, Jared Schuster, Ryan Cusick, all those guys are still coming around.
Alex Clemmie, he looks like he's on a fast track to the big league.
Alex Clemmie, not a bad player.
Yes, not a
player. He is, man. And Alex, if you knew Alex as a freshman, to get to where he is today, man, I'd probably say it's one of the more impressive journeys so far. Just pure development. John DeRoy and him had a great relationship before he left to. He's the pitching coach at Arizona now.
Yeah.
And he developed, as a young man. And man, he had a game, and I'll never forget this, when he was like 14, I believe. It was 14U baseball, where he like walked 10 guys. And people were like, well, why'd you let him walk 10? I was like, well, how else is he going to learn? Like, he's going to walk 10 and he's going to strike out 10. And then he's just going to come, and he has just turned himself into, man, an outstanding young man. And obviously, he's a very good baseball player, but he went from being an immature kid to, as anyone is at that age, but being uber talented to, being one of the top prospects in Major League Baseball. Man, he's worked. It has not been easy for him, and he has earned every step of that. And everybody's journey is different. So you have Alex as the number one, and like Ian Seymour, from Shrewsbury, or Westboro, sorry. Ian, I know you get mad at that. And he's just, he's found his way to where he was in an organization where they said, hey, you don't fit any of our analytics. You don't throw hard enough. You don't do this. You don't do that. And then he had a 2 ERA in AAA, and they finally gave him a shot to make his major league debut in Boston this year, and ended up having a 3.6 ERA. But everybody says this, but there's a common denominator with all these guys. Clemmie, Devaney, Seymour, Winnie, Conti, all these guys, is they all just have a passion for the game, and they just work their butts off. Ian Seymour could easily just, or Cam Devaney, any of these guys, they could just shut it down and take a month off. But no, they're back in getting their work and preparing for the next year. So it's pretty cool to see.
And I know you played baseball at a high level. When did you develop this vision?
Yeah, I played Division II baseball, but yeah, it was. Again, look, I'm not downplaying that. So.
But when did you develop the vision? Like, hey, I want to put together a club or travel baseball program. We're gonna, this is what it's gonna look like. We're gonna have MLB guys coming back, and
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that I had that vision of that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'll say that I started coaching immediately after playing. I coached small college baseball for 2 years, and then I got into this travel ball with an organization called the Florida Bombers back in 2006. And this was before obviously travel ball exploded, but yeah, it was in Miami, Florida. We're talking Nick Castellanos was on the team. Tyler Pasternicki, who was an opening day shortstop for the Atlanta Braves back in 2012, John Ryan Murphy, who played the Yankees for 7 years. So we had tons of David Holmberg, left-handed pitcher. So I was surrounded by that and saw the culture and environment that they had built down there. And then there was this kid, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if you were around for this, Kyle McKenzie, who went to Thayer Academy and went to Tulane, ended up playing professional baseball. But I had recruited him to come to Miami. He played in Miami, and then we developed a rapport. And he's like, "You should do this in New England." And I was just like, "All right." And then so our first team was Kyle McKenzie, Salt Hill Bloom, Chris King, like a bunch of really good players up here. And it just kind of evolved, man. I just wanted to create a fun, enthusiastic environment for kids to get better, have a place to call home, in a place to train where they feel comfortable coming in and training and feel pushed. So like I would say that my college coach, it was probably my biggest baseball influence, man. Brian Harrison, who's now at Baldwin Wallace, which is a Division III school in Cleveland, but he's taken that team. Before he got there, they had never won more than 20 games, and since he got there, they've never not won more than 30 games. And so he's just a tremendous coach, and his passion and enthusiasm, I believe, he passed on to me, and I just try to pass it to our kids.
Nice. Well, Scott, I'm grateful for your time. Do you have a couple of minutes just to hang in for our 3 Up, 3 Down segment?
You got it, man.
All right. I appreciate it. Let's go to our producer, David Yaz.
3 Up, 3 Down.
Yes, welcome back to 3 Up, 3 Down, where I have 3 questions prepared to try to dazzle our 2 panelists here. You know what? They're not great. They're fine. But 3 questions our panelists are unprepared for. We just get their thoughts on various baseball things. I'm going to draw from history here and recall 3 moments in baseball and then ask you a question related to as such. Scott, you can go first. You're the guest. First question. In 1993, a ball bounced off outfielder Jose Canseco's head and landed in the stands for a home run. One of the weirdest and most embarrassing moments for a player that one can imagine. My question to you is, have you ever seen anything similar? And if you're brave enough, admit something embarrassing that has happened to you on a baseball field. I once made an error that completely cleared the bases in Little League. I remember that. Anyway, anything embarrassing, unusual you want to share, Scott, either happened to you personally or something you witnessed on a field?
I will say, Sal Frelick's play was not the same. His was way more athletic. That was pretty unique to have.
Which one are you talking about? Sorry.
Sal Frelick for the Milwaukee Brewers, who was a Lexington grad, Lexington high school, and had that double play. I think it was a one or what? It was some crazy double play. I don't even have that. I'm not going to embarrass myself to come up with the numbers that it was. And then 2, my most embarrassing moment in college, I played shortstop, and I called the catcher off on a pop up at home plate, and I dropped it.
That's a good one. You traveled a distance, it sounds like, to get there too. So
yeah. No, I've never let that one down.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Yeah.
And you got anything similar?
Most embarrassing. One time I was running out of double, and I slid into second base feet first, and the ball beat me there. So the guy, he kind of had his glove down, like right as I was sliding into it. So I thought I was out, and because the glove beat me there.
Yeah.
Apparently the guy missed the ball. So the ball's out in center field, and I'm jogging to the first base dugout.
No.
I'm out. So they got the ball in and tagged me out before I got back to second base. That was pretty embarrassing.
That is a good one. I thought you were going to say you did the Willie Mays Hayes in Major League, where he slides and comes up like 6 inches short of the bag.
I've done that.
Who among us hasn't? All right. Question number 2. Dan, you can take this one first.
Okay.
In 2016, 42-year-old Bartolo Colon hit his first home run, one of the oddest and perhaps most enjoyable and lovable moments in baseball. Don't need to tell you why. Bartolo Colon's built like Jabba the Hutt at the time. Dan, can you think of a more unlikely home run, an unlikely home run that you've seen at any level, someone who you thought this guy is never going to be able to go deep, and yet he does? Any thoughts?
So the first thing I'm thinking of, I went to the Baseball Hall of Fame in the last few months.
Oh, nice.
And they're showing a video of Ozzie Smith hitting a home run. And when I saw it, I was like, he must have only hit a couple in his career. Because even when you see the swing, like he swung from his heels, and like it clears the fence and right down the line in right field by like 2 feet. So he probably hit it 312 feet on a 310 foot wall.
Yep.
But then they revealed, I think he had like 18 career home runs, and that one
okay.
shocked me because I
Not
was
bad.
like, yeah, that is super surprising. So maybe not
Good
up there
one.
with the Bartolo Colon, but that was a lot more than I thought Ozzie Smith would have.
From the world of the Red Sox, Jerry Remy was similar during his playing days and would joke about it during his broadcasting days, but he only hit, I think, single digits total home runs. And they all, whenever he got one, it seemed to go just inside the pesky pole. Scott, any thoughts on likely home runs?
I think it's always a pitcher, right?
Yeah.
So it's Zach Greinke for me. Zach Greinke took some big hacks. It hit a decent amount of home runs in his day.
Yeah, and just it's always fun to see a pitcher hit a home run because something looks really awkward when they're rounding the bases because they never do that. It's like, what do they do?
I think when a pitcher gets a hit or hits, it's just, for me, it's the smile, man. Like, in the reaction from the dugout, like it's pretty special. I mean, we had that this summer with some pitchers that, and you give them at bats, and of course they get a hit and they want to hit again, and then so it's always a unique experience. Carly Cuvier for me this summer, he did that. He's fantastic.
So
Nice.
do you run out like a jacket to the guy, and if they're
That's back in the day, you used to do that.
Yeah. Before the
Not
DH?
anymore.
Yeah, those were the days when that big vehicle used to ship the pitchers in from the bullpen. Looking back on that
Or they need to bring that back.
it was just so fun and old timey. In hindsight, did they really need a ride? I mean, can't they just walk? Anyway, my favorite unlikely home run was in 1985. I don't know if we've talked about it on the pod before, Dan, but the Rick Camp game. Are you familiar with this?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Rick Camp playing for the Braves against the Mets, and the game. I don't have all the info in front of me, but it went deep into the night, late, like I think it was in the 17th inning or something like that. And the absolute last body they had to send up to the plate was Rick Camp, this reliever who wasn't a bad reliever in his time, but he couldn't hit his way out of a paper bag and had 0 career home runs. And the announcer says if he he needed a home run to like tie the game to keep it going. There were 2 outs. Announcer says, if this guy hits a home run, it's officially the weirdest baseball game in history. And sure enough, he hits it into the left field stands, and just bizarro, his only home run of his career, and then stays in the game and ends up surrendering the lead and striking out to lose the game. So he made a deal with the devil.
On the opposite end of the spectrum on unlikely home runs, the most likely one might have been Ohtani in Game 3 of this World Series, where like right before they stopped pitching to him, you're like, is he going to hit another home run right now? And then he did, and you're like, I don't think they're going to pitch to him for the rest of the series.
I know. I don't think I wouldn't. Would you?
No.
I mean, we think that people really, one of our coaches brought this up, Matt Kruger, give him credit for it. But do you think people actually like appreciate and recognize what we're watching? Like, that guy is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, you can't. If you're like 10 years old, you're probably like, I wonder who the next guy is going to be that's going to be the best pitcher, best, at the same time.
Right. I mean, he's the one that, we live in a world of sports hyperbole, but you can say he's the greatest player to have ever played and absolutely back it up. I mean, obviously he doesn't have the longevity that other great players have played. But no, with the possible exception of Babe Ruth, but my God. And then the last time I remember anyone being walked with this frequency is maybe Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
Because he
just
yeah, exactly. But it's like, just put him on.
Yeah.
All right. Final question takes us to the world of knuckleballers. I'm going to give you just a brief history of successful knuckleballers, just picking out a few. In 1972, Wilbur Wood went 24-17 and pitched 376 innings in 49 starts. That's more than a quarter of all the innings in the season. So a knuckleballer, obviously. I'm old enough to remember when Tim Wakefield debuted with the Red Sox in 1995. I think they signed him as kind of a lark. And for the first half of the season, he was absolutely unhittable, finished 16-8. And his ERA was under 2 into August, and then he kind of lost it a little bit. And then finally, I had forgotten about this, but kind of recent years, R.A. Dickey won the Cy Young for the Mets in 2012.
Yep.
20-6. 2.73 ERA. He was 37 years old, just throwing that knuckleballer. So my question is, Scott, if you have any memories of your favorite knuckleballer, but maybe more to the point, are we ever going to see another one flourish? I guess there's one guy in the majors now. Is it Waldron? I lost his name here. Sorry. But they're pretty rare. Your thoughts, Scott?
Yeah, they're pretty rare. One, I'm glad you brought up R.A. Dickey. We have that conversation all the time. His son was in travel ball and he was coaching on a field in front of us a year ago.
Wow.
And our kids had no idea. I'm like, that guy won his Cy Young. I had no idea who this is.
Yeah.
But for me, Charlie Huff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Old Grandpa Charlie.
Yeah, Grandpa Charlie. But I don't know, man. I don't know if anybody can. You would think that somebody would be able to do it, but it's an art.
Right. It's such a hard creature to harness, I guess, to turn a phrase. But Charlie Huff, I believe, finished his career with the Marlins, and in their inaugural season, you see Charlie Huff wearing that crazy teal. It just looked wrong. He belongs in, he belongs in like an old Texas Rangers uniform. So
yeah.
Anyway, Dan, your thoughts? Knuckleball.
Crazy. I mean, I'm 43, and that guy, I can't even. There's no way. Like he pitched until or Rich Hill or any of these, Julio Franco, these guys who played there into their mid 40s. Sorry.
Yeah, I remember writer Bill Simmons writing at the time, late in Julio Franco's career. He said, "Were you like me? Were you watching the Braves game the other night and said, 'Hey, interesting, they have another guy named Julio Franco,' and then you realize, wait a minute, that is Julio Franco." He's still, yeah, by the way, I stand corrected. Charlie Huff's final season was 1994 at 46 years old. 46.
Oh, my God.
He won 5 games that year, so yeah.
It's incredible.
I know. Yeah. Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, most memorable one is obviously Wakefield for me. The October outings when that ball, nobody knew where it was going. They used to have to, Mirabelli was like his personal catcher because he just crossed Veritek up with that pitch. But did Phil Niekro throw a knuckleball? I remember there was like,
Phil Niekro was a big knuckleballer.
I thought he was like a 300 game winner and a knuckleballer. So yeah, that's another one I remember.
Yeah, that was insane. That not only did they trust Wakefield in those extra inning postseason games, but there was a period where he was the closer for the Red Sox. Tim Wakefield.
Yeah, I remember
it's like
that.
They didn't have anybody else. I was thinking, are you crazy? He's a knuckleballer. It's like he's. What are the chances? You got walks, you got pass balls, and everything.
Oh yeah, it looked like Mirabelli was wearing a foam finger.
Yeah,
all that. That thing's glove was huge.
Yeah,
Doug Mirabelli only existed in the league because he could catch Tim Wakefield.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you guys both did terrific in 3 Up, 3 Down. I'm going to see what I can do to get you some R.A. Dickey bobblehead dolls out to you if they exist.
Nice.
Back to you, Dan, to wrap things up.
Okay. Thanks to NEB Director Scott Patterson for joining us on the Base Path podcast. Rate, review, subscribe to the podcast on your preferred platform. All of our podcasts are available on YouTube. Thanks to our producer, David Yaz. The Base Path podcast is a Siemens Media production.